Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for coming along to this session this morning with Global Reviews. My name is Jared Farrell and I'm a Senior Client Advisor with Global Reviews. Today we are going to be discussing a year in review of the travel insurance industry from 2013 to 2014. I'm going to be discussing two different research programs that we run here in Global Reviews, so we will be going through quite a bit of data and I have very interesting insights to talk to you about this morning or this afternoon. But first and foremost, thank you very much for joining me. So on the screen in front of you, you will see 22 different brands, and these brands are included in the two different programs that we have and that we're going to go through this morning. But essentially the key message is that I have researched data with regards to all of these different brands on screen. Some of the brands I will be focusing more on today than others because there's just too much data there to be able to go through the research results for all of the brands. I'm not going to go too much into the methodology at the beginning, but I would like to just pull this up at the very beginning just to give a context with regards to some of the data that I'm going to be showing you. In Global Reviews, we have developed a proprietary end-to-end funnel for measuring customer experience. And today I'm going to be discussing the first three stages of this funnel, which is the discover, the consider, and the act phases. And that will be across the two different research programs that I have already alluded to. So those two programs are the Digital Marketing Effectiveness Program, which covers the discover and the consider phase, and I will also be talking about the Digital Sales Effectiveness Program, which talks about the consider and act phase. At this point, it's just enough to mention that we have these two different programs, and I will go into more detail about what the two different programs do when we get to that point in the presentation. What I would like to start off with, though, is to start looking at some results from the very, very top, from a very macro level. What did we learn about the travel insurance industry in 2014, from 2013 to 2014, from the different research programs that we have been running? The first thing that we have discovered is that 75% of in-market consumers, when searching for a travel insurance provider, and they're looking to purchase travel insurance within the next 90 days, 75% begin their journey on a search engine. Now what's interesting about that is of that 75, 23% go from a search engine to an aggregator, and an equal amount, 23%, go to a brand website. So that's very interesting. 10% begin their search on an aggregator website, and 6% begin their search on the brand website. As an industry, this is a very interesting one from the point of view of the position of the aggregator and the position of the brand website when it comes from a discovery point and then also to the final purchase point. A second interesting piece of information is that 56% of those who conducted research with us through the Digital Marketing Effectiveness Program visited a brand website during the research task. I will be going into the methodology about this later on, but at this point it's interesting to see that 56% during the entire research process actually used a brand website. 10% or 59% used an aggregator overall with regards to their research when researching, and so it really is all to play for in terms of touch points, with a significant proportion who are asked, well, now that you have chosen who your final provider is going to be, how would you like to buy? Once consumers had found a suitable product, 50% claimed that they would purchase the product directly through the provider's website, while at 31% state that they would prefer to purchase the product through the comparison site or the aggregator site. 19% state that they would prefer to pick up the phone. 59% of those who conducted research with us in the Digital Marketing Effectiveness Program in 2014 said that they had initial preference, 59% had an initial preference of a specific travel insurance provider before they went off and conducted research to find out more about the different types of offers that were available to them. The reasons why are 62% said that they would choose their initial preference on the basis of having used that provider before, while 51% stating that they are a current customer. Of the 41% who didn't have a preference, 37% said that they didn't know of a provider at the moment to select from, and when it did come to selecting a provider, they would typically choose the company with the best price. So those are some of the top level findings that we have from the Digital Marketing Effectiveness Program. Now I'd like to talk a little bit about the methodology, how we came to the different types of results that I've already shared with you, and then to go into some more detail with regards to the overall digital marketing effectiveness program and drilling into very specific findings. So first of all, to talk about the methodology. The Digital Marketing Effectiveness Program. In a typical industry, we conduct monthly research with in-market consumers who are looking to purchase a product or a service within the next 90 days. These consumers are recruited through partnerships that we have with international market research panel providers, and everything that we do is in line with ESMR best practice. We bring these in-market consumers into an online study where we ask them a number of pre-qualification questions, one of them being a screener question to determine that they are an in-market consumer, but we also ask them questions about top-of-mind awareness, about brands within a particular industry, and we ask them a couple of questions about the reasons why they may have an initial preference. We then ask them to complete a blank screen study. And the blank screen study is a blank screen with a URL. We set a task, which is to go off and find a provider for a particular type of product or service in that industry, and we give them a certain amount of time to complete that task. When they have completed that task, they then come back into the questionnaire, and we start to ask them more questions about how they got on during that process, and essentially who are now their shortlist of brands based on the research that they have conducted and also the initial preference that they may have had before they conducted any research. Finally, from the shortlist, we ask them to choose one preferred brand. So we're moving from multiple choices in a bucket to pulling one single choice out of that bucket, and this being the preferred provider. There's two interesting things that are happening here. The first one is that we are looking at claimed research and people claiming their behavior and their preferences through a standard online surveying, but we're also introducing passive research behavior, because in the blank screen study we are measuring everything that they're doing online. Every click that they may click on any website links, the amount of time that they spend on a website link, and the pathway that they take as they move from potentially a brand website through to an aggregator website. And crucially, because we can measure everything that they're doing when they're going about the research process, we are also able to capture keywords which may have been used during the search process, and so they are keywords which can be pulled on the basis of the research that they're conducting, and so we will have keywords on all of the different types of players in the market and whether they are keywords which brought them to an aggregator website or brought them to a brand website. More about that later on. So, moving on to the actual results then from the digital marketing effectiveness journey. Now, in a typical industry, to talk about the actual size of the samples that we would use, we would be looking at a 200-person sample on a monthly basis, which dials up to a sample of 2,400. That's a very interesting approach because it's a pulse approach. It allows us to have a longitudinal element when it comes to mapping consumer behavior over time against media activity that a brand may have, whether they have an advertising campaign in market for 6 weeks. So the first element is this longitudinal element, and then the second one is it also gives us this pulse metric as things are moving month on month, while at the same time looking at the analysis of results on the basis of quarterly, biannually, drilling down into individual segments, or coming all the way back up to a national sample, 2,400 on an annual basis. So it's really robust, is the point that I'm making, and we can slice it and dice it in many different ways. So, looking then at what we do with this data, and on screen in front of you, you can see a funnel, and in this particular case, you can see a funnel for Ensure and Go. I'd like to really just focus on the recall, the visited, the shortlisted, and the preferred for a moment before we actually talk about the actual results. Recall is unprompted brand awareness, and that is the top of the funnel when it comes to the digital marketing effectiveness, sales and acquisition funnel. So, what brands can you recall unprompted? Then, using the blank screen study, we can measure the amount of people who have visited a brand website. We then have, after the blank screen study has been completed, were you shortlisted? That will be a multiple select option, and then the preferred option is the single final option after you have done your research and you have developed a repertoire of brands. So the preferred option is a single exclusive option. The preferred option is always going to be greater than the shortlisted, but when you start looking at one competitors or brands funnel against another, that's when it starts to become very interesting, because we can see how the people are voting and how their preference is moving. So the first thing I wanted to do was to just talk about how this actual funnel works. Now what I would like to do is I would like to talk about two different types of funnels. I'd like to talk about the funnel that we have in front of us for Insure and Go, and the funnel that we have for Aviva. Now these two funnels are different. We can see that the two brands are performing very differently in the marketplace. Insure and Go have half of the top of mind brand recall of Aviva, 11% and 22%. Nobody is visiting the Insure and Go website. And then what we can see that their shortlist score is up at 25%, and they are achieving 3 times the number of people who prefer them at the end of the funnel in comparison to Aviva. So this is very, very interesting. But when we actually start to look at all of the different brands that are in the study, we can see that there is a grouping that can actually happen within the study on the basis of how these brands are moving. So, for example, the first line chart that I brought up in front of you, Insure and Go, AXA and Nationwide could be grouped together, and Aviva, Tesco and Direct Line could be grouped together. And really what we're focusing on here is this shortlisted to final preference and how the brands are converting from shortlisted to final preference. Because the idea here really is that we have invested advertising to develop potentially a top-of-mind brand recall. We certainly have developed some form of a digital advertising to drive consumer traffic maybe to our website, or if we're using more of an aggregator strategy. But the idea is that we are getting to the point of consideration, which is the shortlist. And we have achieved that consideration by using different types of metrics and investment. And it's now about moving the customer from the consideration to the exclusive one choice at the final preference stage. And that is really how we can measure our return on advertising investment, and we can look at the reasons why one brand is being chosen over another. And so really, what is it that separates these two different charts from each other? Well, when we look at the percentage difference from shortlisted to final preference for Insure and Go, AXA and Nationwide, we can see Insure and Go is minus 63%, AXA is minus 83%, Nationwide is minus 75%. And we look at Aviva, we can see that they are minus 123, Tesco is minus 123, and Direct Line is minus 127. So the message is that the brands in the top chart are converting much, much more successfully than those in the bottom chart. And so the question that we want to ask ourselves is, why are Insure and Go converting more than those who initially recall them, while Aviva's conversion is significantly lower? And so that's what I'm going to look at with regards to the digital marketing effectiveness program in this particular study here. So first of all, Insure and Go shortlisters. So I have created a segment on the basis of those who shortlisted Insure and Go and those who shortlisted Aviva. So it is a subsegment of the overall sample. I wanted to have a look at the different things which are driving people to the Insure and Go website using the different tools that I have within the Digital Marketing Effectiveness program. One of those things that I have is search engine keywords which were used. So those who said that they would shortlist Insure and Go, we can see that the keywords that they're using really relate to price comparison or specific price comparison websites. So you've got Go Compare Travel Insurance, Money Supermarket, and Travel Insurance, no surprises, really coming out at the top. When I go and I have a look at the search engine Google, which was the most popular search engine, and I enter travel insurance, I can see that Insure and Go comes up as the third option in Google above the fold. Some other things that I can see that are interesting with regards to Insure and Go: 4% of those who shortlisted them recall having seen advertisings or promotions from them. 69% of the total sample when completing this blank screen study used an aggregator. 20% of those went from a search engine to an aggregator and didn't move any further, so they decided that they were going to make their choice there. And then we have 37% used a brand website. And of that 37%, 22% didn't move any further, while 11% of the 37% went on to search from brand to aggregator, which means that almost 1/3 of those that visited a brand website left to do further search. Comparing that against Aviva and trying to get to the bottom of why are Insure and Go converting more than Aviva, we can see that the search engine keywords are different, and I don't think that that's massively surprising. But Aviva does not come up in the first page of listings when I go into the search engine and I enter travel insurance. What we can see is that people are searching much more on the basis of brand. Aviva Insurance, Aviva Travel Insurance, and Aviva Travel Insurance Policy coming up in the top 10 keyword searches which have been used. I'm sure that is most likely a strategic decision for Aviva, with the reasons why they are not investing in being in the top 10 within the search engine for that particular keyword, because I'd imagine it's a very competitive keyword. However, the figures would indicate that others are being chosen over Aviva from the shortlisted to final preference. So brand relationship is clearly very important from a discovery point of view for Aviva, and the brand keyword coming up regularly. Again, then for Aviva, we can see that for advertising, there is much higher people recalling advertising or promotion for Aviva than there is for Insure and Go. We can see that a lower number of those who shortlisted Aviva are using an aggregator in total, and just 14% move from a search engine to an aggregator and stop there. We can see a larger proportion are using a brand website, with 30% of the 44 who use a brand website stopping there and not moving any further. So the picture that this is starting to tell me is that the people who are shortlisting Insure and Go are different to the people who are shortlisting Aviva. They have different search strategies, and they want different things. This tells us about attribution and the concept of what brings people to a website, because we're looking at things like advertising, we're looking at the different pathways which are being used, and we're also looking at keyword search. But what it doesn't tell us is why they did or didn't shortlist these particular brands. So the why behind the different search strategies. So again, continuing with this idea of the shortlisting and who shortlisted who, I'd like to have a look at Insure and Go. And we can see that the reasons why people who shortlisted Insure and Go say that they shortlisted Insure and Go was because they said that they had good prices or offers, or that they have used them before, or I saw them in a search engine. So prices and offers are important to this group, and an existing relationship, and also that they saw them in a search engine. But for Aviva, familiarity, that they have good prices, and trust come up in the top 3. So there seems to be a difference here, or I would speculate that there is a difference in the definition between Insure and Go shortlisters and Aviva shortlisters in this concept of I have used them before. So Aviva, I have used them before, comes in 4th place, where it's 2nd place for Insure and Go. And basically the idea here is, what is the difference between I trust this company and I have used them before? And is I have used them before really a definition of trust for the guys from Insure and Go, whereas Aviva are pushing something potentially that the market doesn't necessarily want as much? So is trust a valuable asset, or is there greater utilitarian value in the definition of I've used them before, which translates more into loyalty? Is loyalty a byproduct or a stimulus of purchase? Again, why are Insure and Go customers more likely to be stickier than those who are Aviva customers? So looking on and moving this one step further and looking for the reasons why they had final preference, we can see that 43% of those who shortlist Insure and Go choose them as their final preferred, and we can see then that they are also current customers, which is massively interesting. Of the top 3 reasons why they are actually preferring them, I have used them before comes in at 51%, that they had the best policy offers my needs is 51%, and that they have good policy options comes in at 36%. 16% of those who were the final preferred of Aviva actually shortlisted them. So those who shortlisted Aviva went on to actually choose them in their final preference was 16%. Those who shortlisted Insure and Go, went on to actually choose them in their final preference was 43%. So this is this conversion ratio. So those who are current customers of Insure and Go are continuing to use them more in the future. So I'm questioning this idea with regards to loyalty that I raised in a previous slide, and that I used them before was a key element for those who are shortlisting Insure and Go. And then we move on to actually look at, well, what was the actual reason for preference? And we can see that they had the best policy and offers for my needs is the second most important thing for Insure and Go, whereas the second most important thing for Aviva is I trust this company at 45%. So this is where I'm questioning this idea of what is the value of trust within this particular type of category, which is essentially a low involvement category. And so is it enough to basically provide what the customer is looking for on a much more utilitarian level, which is that to provide them with the best offers for their needs, to provide them with easy navigation, to make it easy to buy from them, and that in turn will turn into trust. So should trust be a byproduct or a stimulus of purchase? That is really the key question that I'm asking. So this is a very, very top level with regards to what the digital marketing effectiveness can look at. Some of the other key elements that came out with regards to those who shortlisted Insure and Go and who they actually decided to prefer, we could see that there was also a proportion of people, obviously, who didn't choose Insure and Go, and who they did choose were people like FlexiCover at 6% and all other providers at a percentage point lower than 6%. Whereas those who chose Aviva as a shortlist, the other brands that they finally preferred were much, much higher proportion, with Direct Line coming in at 11% and Insure and Go coming in at 11%. So that they trust them isn't as close a metric to loyalty as I have used them before if we look at I have used them before on a utilitarian basis. So this is where we get to the idea of if you give the customer what they want and you make the effort easy and seamless from this point of view within this product market, your chances are that they will come back and they will buy from you again. So this is the Digital Marketing Effectiveness Program, and it can tell us an awful lot more than this. We can also look at stuff with regards to how long it took them to purchase. We can also look at stuff with regards to key decision making when it comes to actually making the final decision on who would they want to buy from, as in whether it be the brand or the aggregator. But now I'd like to step into the second program that we're running and looking at some of the results that were coming from that from 2014 and 2013. That is the Digital Sales Effectiveness Journey Program. And so back to the end-to-end funnel that we discussed earlier on, I was talking about the discover phase earlier on into the consider phase, and now we're looking more specifically at the consider and act phase. The sales effectiveness program really measures from the doorstep of your website all the way through the funnel to the very end on the application form and purchase. The methodology takes price out of the process and looks at how effectively do you engage customers and help them match a product or service to their needs. So looking at some of the results which came out of the Digital Sales Effectiveness Program and comparing it to other types of insurance research that we have done over the same period in a similar kind of market, looking at car insurance, travel insurance and home insurance, we ask a question which is, what are the key elements for you in terms of importance when choosing a provider in a particular market? And they are the key elements on the website. We have 15 different elements typically within that question, and it's on a 10-point scale. What I have done is I pulled out the top 3 elements, and I pulled it out on the basis of those that scored 9 and 10 together, so a cumulative score. So what we can see is for those who are buying car insurance, the top 3 elements on a website are information that is easy to use, a website that is easy to navigate, and the ability to apply online. For travel insurance, it's information that is easy to understand, the ability to select options based on coverage, and information about costs and payment options. And finally, for home insurance, information that is easy to understand, a website that is easy to navigate, and ability to apply online. The key message here really is that, going back to what we discovered earlier on in the Digital Marketing Effectiveness Program, is that the consumers are asking for something which is much more utilitarian. They are slightly different in the purchase strategy from those who are purchasing car insurance and those who are purchasing home insurance. And so we really should think about them differently. So whether you are a brand who is interested in more of an aggregator strategy, or whether you are a brand who's decided that you're going to aggressively compete on keywords or have a keyword strategy from that point of view, the consumer is slightly different in how they are approaching this and how you want to invite them into your product to then maybe cross-sell across other product suites, or maybe you already have them in another product suite and you want them to buy within this another value add that you have. This brand loyalty may not stretch because ultimately the customer is really looking for more of a utilitarian type of approach, and this is the message that we're getting from these people, that I have used them before rather than brand trust, that you are here to help me, you will meet my needs, you understand what I'm looking for, and then I will reward you with my loyalty by coming back to you again. So we understand then from a marketing point of view what's important for these people, and the website is a significant part of this because, as I said earlier on, we had up to 60% of people who said that they were actually, or who we measured, going to websites during a research task when looking for a travel insurance provider. So what does the website need to actually do? That is, and how simple this is the website in comparison to your competitor's website in offering a solution to the customer. The Digital Sales Effectiveness Program measures this. It measures how easy is it for a customer to buy from you, while the Digital Marketing Effectiveness Program looks at how attractive are you to customers to bring them to your website. I'm very quickly going to go through the Digital Sales Effectiveness Program and the methodology, and then I'm going to go into some of the data. But just so that we can understand the methodology and where it's coming from, there are 4 key data points that feed into the Digital Sales Effectiveness Program. The first one is that we look at customer behavior. For each individual brand that is involved in the study, we send 50 in-market consumers to a brand's website, and we ask customers to complete a number of different tasks on that website. We ask them to complete a survey before they actually start the tasks, and then we also ask them to complete some questions after they've completed the task. So what we're trying to measure here is, on one side, we're trying to measure efficiencies and paths through the website because we're looking at the amount of clicks that they needed to make in order to complete a task, or we're looking at the dwell time and we're comparing one brand's website against another. But we're also asking them is, okay, what's your expectation before you complete this task, and then what's your level of satisfaction having completed this task? It's very important to note that the 50 people that we send to one brand's website are a completely different 50 people that we send to another brand's website, and no group of 50 people do research on more than one website. We also conduct a customer audit where we look at the customer audits the importance of site elements as they move through the task. So these are ratings of navigability. We look at look and feel and content. And we then also have a best practice audit, which is something that we conduct internally within Global Reviews. In the 15 years that we have been in operation, conducting best practice across the globe in customer experience and data analytics, we have built up a suite or product knowledge of about, in this particular case, the best practice audit has over 450 different data points where we look at best practice on each individual website and what should be on that website from a best practice point of view. So simply we look at the websites and we audit the websites. However, the process is not simple at all. So this is another key element with regards to expertise worldwide and benchmarking. So these 4 different data points are brought together and mapped against the customer journey as they're moving through the website and making the key steps that they are to finally complete the purchase. And we weight the different steps in terms of importance to that person as they're moving through the journey. So all of the scores are then brought together into one final result, which then gives us our customer experience score. So the customer experience score is one score. It is a dashboard score which gives an indication about how one brand is competing against another within a similar industry, but how it's actually made up then is 4 different layers. The top layer is the phase. We talked about discover, consider, and act already. We have a stage, which is what are they actually trying to achieve within the journey that they're making on the website. We then have the category, which is underneath the stage. It's a key element that forms part of the stage. So, for example, the first thing you might do when you come to a website is your initial engagement and understanding of clutter, or looking at the look and feel, and is this a website that you believe is going to be easy to navigate. Within the category, we also have subcategories, and they are a key element then within the different types of things that we are trying to achieve within that stage can be broken into multiple different things. So essentially the methodology is massively diagnostic. We can drill right down into the key elements, but we roll up all of these scores to create this one customer experience score. So it's like peeling back the layers of an onion. So they are the different elements of the digital sales effectiveness program, and so the methodology is very complex. There's a lot in it, and it's very diagnostic and actionable as well. Looking at the travel insurance market, these are the results from 2014, Aviva coming in at the top, the industry average coming in at 51. Aviva, who are the most consistent performers across the program in 2014, the reasons why they're at top, they really only outperform their competitors in one stage in all of the journey, and we're going to look at that at the moment. But the market is really defined by three different segments of 53%, 51% and 48%. The stages that make up the journey that I was talking about earlier on are on screen in front of us. We have initial engagement through to introducing options, evaluating options, facilitating decisions, channel selection and application form, and these really do match the journey that the customer is making as they move through the website. This is a benchmark that we build for each individual industry. We work in multiple industries across the world, and so this is one very specific for travel insurance. This is how the different phases make up the actual stages. So we talked about the consider and the act. Now I'm going to look at some of these. I'm not going to look at all of these. Just to give you a flavor of what makes up consider, some of the stages, the categories and the subcategories. Initial engagement, meet expectations and build trust, and assisting the needs of the customers. So again, just reaffirming this idea that there is, the methodology is quite complex. So now straight into the data, the macro view. There's a large bar chart on the screen in front of you. As I mentioned, we run studies in multiple industries. I'm pulling up some results in front of you with regards to how travel insurance has performed against motor and home. This is the journey across the bar chart at the bottom of the 6 different stages that I mentioned earlier on. And the key thing that I'm pulling out here is that travel insurance is performing quite well in comparison to the other 2 sectors that I looked at in terms of evaluating options, and there's an opportunity here for the other industries to learn from travel insurance when it comes to evaluating options. Evaluating options is whether the customer has the ability to compare your product or service options to best meet their needs. Are the tools available on your website which assist customers in their decision making? And do you provide the facilities to match the customer as they're moving through this stage of the journey? So again, at a very macro level, how has the industry performed from 2013 through to 2014? And the big news here is that really there isn't that much of a change. As you can see, that the percentage differences are non-significant between the 2 different periods of time. However, when we start to drill down within it and we look at the micro view, we can see that the top performers for 2013 and who was performing well, Columbus coming in at initial engagements and introducing options, the post office coming in at evaluating options, Insure and Go facilitating decisions, channel selection is Columbus, and Insure and Go at the application form stage. But when we look at the top performers for 2014, we can see that a huge amount of them have changed. Columbus still coming in at initial engagements in terms of performance, but introducing options has changed. In 2014, Aviva is the top scorer. They've increased their score in 2013 from 54% up to first place in 58%. While Columbus has dropped from 63 to 57. At evaluating options, Access moves from 45% in 2013 to 50% in 2014 and claimed a top spot for industry leader, while the industry as a whole has dropped significantly in the area of facilitating decisions. We can see that LV scored 54% and then improved their score to 57, while Insure and Go have dropped massively. And we're going to be looking specifically at how Insure and Go have performed and the reasons why they have dropped, but their score dropped from 69% down to 51. Only Columbus at initial engagement and Insure and Go at application form retained their dominant position from 2013 through to 2014. And other than that, then we are seeing large changes across the board. So as I mentioned, I want to focus specifically on the facilitating decisions and what is it that's actually driving Insure and Go's score to drop from 69 to 51. 1%. So facilitating decisions. On the left-hand side, you have a bar chart which shows the percentage scores for 2014. The ones in red are indicated that way because as a percentage difference from 2014 to 2013, the boxes beside them indicate how much they've increased or decreased. So for example, we can see Insure and Go have decreased by a percentage difference of 30%. Within facilitating decisions, what we are trying to measure is whether the consumers have been given adequate contact information and tools, which helps keep you top of mind, specifically when they leave your site. How easy is it for customers to get answers to questions with tools such as online chat? And do you convey why a customer should purchase a product or service from you? As with all of these different stages, we look at it in terms of their importance along the pathway to purchase as the customer is making their journey. So in facilitating decisions, why have Insure and Go dropped by 30% from 2014 through 2013? Just before I go into Insure and Go scores, one of the key questions we ask at the Digital Sales Effectiveness program at the very beginning across all of the sample is, what is the real life, if this was a real life situation and you encountered problems on a website whilst researching electricity options, please select what you would do next. So this is specifically for the travel insurance market, and so what's very interesting here is we can see that I would look for frequently asked questions, 26%. I would look for an online web feature, 21%. But this 20%, I would leave the website and look for another provider. So this is the proportion of people who will abandon almost immediately if they cannot find what they are looking for. So this goes back to this concept of facilitating decisions, and what is facilitating decisions all about? It really is about helping the customer to help themselves and making sure that they don't leave, because abandonment rate drops the longer that they stay on your site. So facilitating decisions as a stage, there are three categories which make up facilitating decisions. We have external comparison, we have contacting the company, and we have why choose this company. We are looking specifically at the results of Insure and Go from 2014 to 2013 and why they may have dropped, or why they did drop. So in the yellow or gold color, we can see the scores of Insure and Go from 2013, and in blue we can see the scores from 2014. So we can see that they have dropped significantly in terms of facilitating external comparison. For contacting the company, we can see that they have also dropped, not to the same degree, from 84 to 63, and then why choose this company, they have retained their score in and around 62%. So I'm going to look specifically at external comparison and contacting the company and the reasons why Insure and Go have dropped. So within contacting the company, the subcategory is enabling general questions and enabling immediate answers, and this is where the drop is happening. So we can see that this Insure and Go are doing less in 2014 to facilitate customers. So what were they doing in 2013 that was working? The product pages included phone numbers for support in multiple positions. Options to speak to a customer service representative online was clearly signposted. Related awards were displayed to help increase trust and brand credibility. And then the Contact Us page was comprehensive with opening hours, medical help, claims, and sales numbers. But things changed in 2014. What changed? Insure and Go removed detail on why this plan is suitable for a customer. They removed access to information on the products and prices of other providers. They removed the ability to compare the operator's products with competitor products. FAQ options and Contact Us help from the product pages have already also been removed. Benefits of using an online chat facility have been removed. So if you can see, I have highlighted in a red box, it says have a question towards the bottom right hand corner of the page, chat with one of our live agents, but there is no mention there with regards to why or the benefits with regards to a chat facility, open 24/7, quicker or faster. So again, we're maybe getting into the area of channel support and channel selection. Removed operating hours for chat function was also removed, and then messaging regarding wait times have been removed. So these are all elements which were helping the customer to facilitate their decision. And from 2013 through to 2014, these were elements which Insure and Go removed, and these are the reasons why Insure and Go's score has dropped. But why has LV's score increased for them to be the leader in this area? So they offer help and content to access and offline help. There's clear signposting to suggest help is available. There's an interactive FAQs, which leads to home insurance related FAQs. And then there's an option to commence live chat for assisted support as well. So the concept of information sent versus information foraging, so they essentially give information breadcrumbs. They help the customer along the journey. So the idea being, when I click on something, I have an expectation that what I click on will bring me to a certain place, and LV are very good at delivering on that. The product pages include a clearly zoned area. The phone number includes operational hours. There is an option to receive a callback, and then there is key information with regards to why choose LV. It explains the benefits of the policies that LV offer. Strong de facto rating and finance awards displaying to help build trust in the brand, and that's up front and center rather than at the footer of the page. So those are some of the key elements with regards to Insure and Go dropping in external comparison and contact the company. But now looking specifically at the why choose the company. Insure and Go didn't really move in this area, but what I would like to have a look at is what actually makes up the scores and what drives scores in this area, and how can the industry in general perform. So this is one of the areas where we have a behavioral task that we set for customers, or for as they were going through the actual websites. So a key question that we ask them then, once they've completed a particular task, is whether they believe the website would help them to research options and to decide to purchase travel insurance. And so we can see that Insure and Go performs well here in the 80s, but what they are not providing is assistance with regards to learning about the company, and this is a key thing which really helps the customer and assures them when it comes to choosing a company. To give you an example from a completely different industry in a completely different market, this is American Express credit cards in Australia. They lead competitors when preparing customers to decide on a credit card. The product details page displays reasons why the credit card is a better choice. The key benefits are at a glance. It presents information about the credit card and company's features, and then more reasons to choose Amex. You've got 24/7 customer service, all of the different rewards and benefits, and also reasons why you should choose them, and maybe even the reason why you should choose them online. So there are some of the key elements with regards to what was driving Insure and Go's score at the facilitating decisions stage. I don't want to go into detail with regards to who the bottom performers were from 2014 to 2013, but I am going to show you the results, but I'm not going to go into the detail of what actually drove these results. In 2013, we can see that Aviva took up 2 places within the actual journey, in the initial engagement stage and then at the application form stage, and AXA was at facilitating decisions and channel selection. When it comes to 2014, AXA haven't changed. Aviva have moved off the bottom. Post Office are now at the bottom on the initial engagement, while LV are at the bottom on the application form. So what I would like to look at, though, is specifically the research from 2014 into percentage difference between the top performer and the bottom performer, because I'd like to look at, when we look at a mean or an average in the industry, it can often hide what's going on, because there may be outliers or there may not be outliers which is driving that average, and that's the reason why I wanted to look at these scores. So looking at the percentage difference between the top and the bottom score, we can see 42% for initial engagement, 23% for introducing options, 22% for evaluating options, 96% for facilitating decisions, but we've already discussed facilitating decisions, 58% for channel selection, and 34% for application form. So I would like to discuss channel selection, and this is the last piece that I'm going to go through in this session this afternoon. So channel selection, I think that this is something which is very important for the travel insurance industry in general. Again, on the left-hand side, you can see the performers of the different, some of the different brands in this study. The ones in red, again, are those who have a negative percentage difference from 2014 through 2013. What is it that makes up channel selection? An audit of the website's ability to convey the options available to customers in order to purchase or apply for your product or service. What basically this means is, how much do you support the channel of an offline application or an online application? And how much do you support it from the point of view of promoting it and actually explaining to customers the reason why it's a good idea, and then giving them the support that they feel okay to make that process online, so security and privacy. So how well do you introduce both of these online and offline options? Do you reveal the options with regards to applying online effectively? And then again, do you set expectations, and how do you meet these expectations considering where the consumer is on the pathway to purchase and on what they're doing at this particular point of the journey? So looking at channel selection, there are 3 elements within channel selection. We have revealing options to apply, explaining offline options, and explaining online options. So the top performer was post office, the bottom performer was AXA, and the industry average was 41. Explaining offline options, top performer, post office again at 57%, AXA coming in at 19% for bottom performer. And then explaining online options, we have Aviva coming in highest at 54%, LV coming in the lowest at 33%. I'd like to look specifically at revealing options to apply. These are the subcategories which make up revealing options to apply. The boxes in yellow are the top performer on the bar chart, and black is the industry average. Immediately you can see promotes online channel is something that the industry could be doing an awful lot more, and then new existing customer handling is another area that the industry could be doing a huge amount of more as well, specifically talking about revealing options to apply. So what is it the post office do well? They explicitly say buy your travel insurance by phone or online. They all options for purchasing are displayed together. The links to the homepage are displayed above the fold. Key benefits for purchasing online are listed. They offer an incentive for buying online. They determine if you're an existing customer wishing to change cover, or whether you're a new customer. Explains why existing customers are required to log in, what the benefits are, a forgotten username, password link displayed with the login. A very quick example, because we're really nearly out of time. Swift cover at the top. In some of our studies with regards to promoting the key benefits of online application, the reasons why is because they provide the benefits. They show that it's fast, secure, instant, and easy. They also look at the landing page and clearly state the benefits of online application. There's no queues, no unnecessary chat, no endless questions. Benefit of getting a quote with Swift cover are further details. So what we've got is product level benefit and a company level benefit, which is very important. Finally, explaining online options. This is where we talk about security. Why are my personal details required? Is my information safe and secure? What do I need to complete this online application? How long will you take to respond? So finally, I flew through that last piece just because we were running out of time. What I do want to say from the research that we looked at and the results that I've gone through today, some of the recommendations that we would make: lead with the utilitarian aspect of product and efficiency in meeting customer needs, and they will then come back to you with repeat purchase. That is what's coming to us from the digital marketing effectiveness with regards to the results. 20% we know will leave your website if they cannot find what they're looking for. 1/3 we know from the digital marketing effectiveness are already leaving the brand website to then move on to an aggregator site. So a key element here really is to stop abandonment as much as possible when it comes to the website, and so website design and understanding customer experience is massively important. Support the online channel and reasons why customers should buy online. Finally, this afternoon what we have gone through is very high-level general industry overview. We've only really had a look at some of the top-line stuff with regards to the Digital Marketing Effectiveness Program and the Digital Sales Effectiveness Program. There are many other things that are available for those who are subscribing clients: full research, tailored analysis at a micro level, immediate access to historical data, online portal access, so it's on demand. We also have 2 insight activation workshops in 2015 covering your industry findings, competitor benchmark, recommendations, customer insight and best practice. And then we also have advisory hours on top of that where we work specifically with clients maybe looking at wireframes as new websites and customer experience journeys are being designed. Specifically for the travel insurance market, we have monthly DMEs running in 2015, and then for the digital sales effectiveness, the next run of the data is in May and November 2015. So finally, what I didn't mention is that I alluded to the fact that we are a company that has been in operations since 2015, but we work across the globe with many different brands internationally. We put brands in the homes of 50,000 in-market consumers on an annual basis. Our research methodology is one which is based on real world. The research is conducted when the person is at home in their own house. So it's a real world methodology that uses a 360-degree view, which is both claimed behavior and actual behavior. All of the data is available in our portal. We specifically work in banking, insurance, energy, sports betting, and 3 or 4 other industries, but we work in niche industries and we work very deeply within each one of those industries. If you have any questions, my contact details are on the screen in front of me, or in front of you, and I can just see that there's 1 or 2 questions that have come in, so I'm just going to go offline just for 1 second, and I'm going to come back online. I promise I'll only be 30 seconds just so that I can read these questions and then answer any of the questions that have come in. Okay, thank you very much. So we have a couple of questions in, and then just one of the first questions, someone has noticed that on one of the slides there was a typo. It's specifically the slide which asked if this was a real-life situation and you encountered problems on a website, please state what you would do next. The question said that when researching electricity options, that was a mistake that was included. It actually, the results from that slide are very specifically travel insurance. The typo was in the question, so literally the question was pulled from a previous presentation, but I can assure that the numbers are definitely correct and relevant to travel insurance. Other than that, 1 or 2 other people I think have mentioned that they've had some sound quality issues. The webinar is recorded, and so what we will be doing is we'll be looking at the recording and we'll make sure that the sound quality is okay, and then we will also be getting in touch with people individually as well, so we'll be able to find out if there are any further questions and if you would like us to go through some of the details again. So thirdly then, one of the questions was asked whether we do mobile research, and indeed we do. So this particular program that we looked at for the digital sales effectiveness is one which is conducted on a laptop or a desktop, that being that the respondents or in-market consumers are conducting the tasks and the research through a laptop or desktop. We also run a mobile sales effectiveness study where the research consumers complete the study on their mobile or tablet, and we can specify if it's mobile only, and we can also look at the different types of devices, operating systems, all that different types of stuff. So yes, absolutely, and the program runs pretty much the same, but it's obviously a different device and a different platform. Someone asked a question, if their brand wasn't mentioned in the study, how could they get their brand into the study? Well, the first thing would be to get in touch with myself or to get in touch with one of the commercial directors, but typically how it works is once you buy into the program, you can then choose 4 competitors in the digital sales effectiveness program, 4 competitors that you would like to look at along with yourself, and so that's essentially how the different type of competitor list is built out. And then in the digital marketing effectiveness, if you get in touch with us, we can look at that, and we can also spike samples on the basis of if you are someone who deals mostly with over 55-year-olds and you would like to look only at them, we can spike samples on that basis as well, and we can recruit specific samples on the basis of target audiences. Will the slides be sent was another question, and yes, absolutely, the slides will be sent directly after this. We have the contact details of everybody who came along today, and if you do have any questions, my email address and telephone number is on the screen in front of you. So thank you very, very much for coming along, and if you have any questions, please do get in touch, and apologies if you had any sound quality issues, and we will have the slides and we will have a recording for you. Thank you.